good. Let's mute the Twitch page. Shut off super quickly. That's not a bad thing. Does mean that I get to close this before I really did anything with it. Alright. So, one last thing. And we should be good. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is, I was going to say January, but it's not quite January, December 21st. And this is the December 21st TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be hopefully getting through all of the Karante stuff for the bridge collapse cutscene. Before we do anything, I am going to go ahead and just do a quick run through to let you know where the cutscene is currently. We basically have everything done up to the point of the actual bridge ropes getting cut and the bridge collapsing, or the bridges collapsing. So we have the wizard showing up, we have the player being positioned properly, and we have magic scissors being generated, but we do need to still have the scissors positioned and moved from their initial positioning, and then trigger the actual Karante animations to cause them to collapse. So let's go ahead and trigger the cutscene. Still need to figure that out though, so that's still a broken thing. For some reason, occasionally, and it's only occasionally, the player fails to get... Well, no, they get parented to the magic box, but they... Oh, cool. It's happening consistently now. That's actually good. That means I can observe it. Okay. Hooray! Consistency. Let's try it one more time. And I'm going to try positioning myself to the right this time. Interesting. So yeah, I still don't know what's causing that, but I'll still let the scene play out. Huh. Okay. That was weird. Seems like my timeline is off. Well, in any case, so that's currently where we're at. Let's go ahead and make some adjustments to that. Okay. Scissors, audio, animation. I guess that's fair. I did do that a little too soon. So we basically have up to the point where the scissors open, and we need to animate the scissors cutting the rope and then swinging around from this bridge over to this bridge, cutting these ropes, and then swinging back around before vanishing along with the wizard. That's so infuriating. It still does that too, doesn't it? Or not? Okay, fine. You're weird. Alright. So, we do need to do a couple of things. First up, we need to animate the scissors and have them cut through the bridges. And actually, you know what? I kind of want to break these into smaller cutscenes. So, currently I have 3 cutscenes that are created. I don't want to say finished because there's still a lot of polish that needs to be done. We have the initial cutscene where the wizard appears. That's the wizard letters coming from the sky. Then, hey Garrett, welcome back. No worries on the retweet. Yeah, I saw that your stuff was on sale. I'm like, hey, gotta make sure people know about that. I'm sure like all 5 of my Twitter followers saw it. Anyway, so as always, my answer to how's it going is we'll see how tonight goes. But I'm optimistic because I think we're finally going to get to do actual bridge collapse stuff today. so we'll get to do Karante stuff. In any case, so we have the initial cutscene where the wizard actually appears. We have the positioning cutscene, which is where the player is getting shoved backwards to the stack here, to the center stack. Then the wizard moves into position. And then we have a third cutscene, which is currently labeled Bridge Collapse, but it might be better to actually just label it as Scissors Positioned. Mostly because this is already 600 frames long, well, over that a little bit, which is about 10 seconds, and I like to work in kind of smaller chunks, and the reason for that is so that I can easily position these things in sequence in a master cutscene. So that way, whenever I have to adjust the spacing a little bit, I don't have to constantly adjust keyframes for a bunch of things. Instead, I can just adjust, specific keyframes in specific cutscenes for specific objects, and then it'll automatically update the length of the clip here, and then I can just slide around the other cutscenes that weren't affected by my keyframe changes. So I kind of like having this size. You can see that I was about 1200 for the first cutscene, which is about 20 seconds. Actually, I think it's exactly 20 seconds because I'm doing 60 frames per second for these. Second cutscene was about 300, which is about 5 seconds, and the current one is about 10 seconds, a little bit over that. So I'm going to actually rename that cutscene, and we're going to call it, I guess, Scissors Positioned. Karante. Nothing like playing with a new toy. That's very true. And it is very, very fun. And I'm very excited that we'll actually get to do stuff like explosions, technically. I mean, we're not literally going to do explosions, but Karante has things called explosions, and that's going to be the force that actually blows apart our ropes. Okay. So we have our scissors position cutscene. If we go back to our bridge collapse, we can keep this as scissors positioned. I suppose I should rename this to scissors positioned. Scissors positioned. And hopefully that doesn't break everything. I would not expect... Uh-oh. Oh, no way. Does it actually? Ah, no! You've got to be kidding me. Really? Oh, phew. Never mind. Okay, false alarm. It's because I was looking at it, I guess, in the inspector. That's interesting. I didn't know it did that. Huh. Well, alright, that's fair enough, I guess. Okay, so that's our third cutscene. That means we're going to have another cutscene, which I will go ahead and actually call Bridge Collapse. Bridge Collapse. Let's go ahead and add a new timeline. Oh, by the way, that was very rude. Sorry, Garrett. How are you tonight? Okay, so we're going to call this Canyon-Bridge-Collapse. Alright, let's go ahead and add our playable director here. Playables, or I guess lag made me click on layout. Playable director, we will drag in our bridge collapse. Not going to play on awake. Okay, so for this cutscene, we're going to need a few things. We don't actually care about the wizard for now. At the very least, we're not going to start with him. So we'll have a track group for scissors. Then we'll have a track group for... I think I'm going to simulate these bridges in two separate cutscenes. Originally, I was going to do one big physics simulation. But since they're not attached to each other, it makes more sense, I think, for me to just export them as separate animations and then activate them when I need them to be activated. Alright, so that's scissors. This track group is going to be called Bridge 1, and then we'll have one for Bridge 2. And Bridge 1 is the first bridge on the left, and Bridge 2 is the bridge farthest from the entry point. Let's see. Doing well, playing with a new toy. Vegetation Studio. I don't think I've used that. Is that an all-in-one terrain solution, or is that just a solution for foliage on terrains? Okay, so for scissors, we are definitely going to need an animation track. We will probably need a subgroup for audio. which of course will have its own play soundtracks. Let's see. Do I want to subdivide the? Nah. Well, I mean, we'll call this bridge 1, cut 1, I guess, for lack of a better term. Let's go ahead and add a sound clip for this. Oh, man, before I forget, let's go ahead and load our splash fade. I don't know why I said before I forget, because I did forget until I realized I needed it, so I already did forget. But it just came out. Procedural placement of objects, grass, plants, rocks, etc. on terrains. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, if I remember, have you ever messed with Gaia? It's like one of the big terrain solutions for Unity. Hello, cool. Welcome back. Hello yourself. Obviously, I knew you were talking to me, because when I walk into a room, the first thing everyone says is, "Hey, pretty lady." So, I'm surprised you knew that, though. Yeah, I have Gaia and Gina, like a lot of stuff. Yeah, Gaia, I haven't really had a chance to mess with it too much, but I think it also has a similar system to what it sounds like the Vegetation Studio stuff is. I know it lets you do some sort of like some kind of procedural placement of objects. Okay, it's much faster than that. That's fair enough. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead, now that our splash fade is loaded, we're going to load in, I think, do we want cut 1? Let's listen. Might do scissors cut. Right, I forgot it had the gore. Okay, we might do that even though it's got a little bit of a gore splash effect. You can kind of hear that. But I want it to be kind of over the top. So we're probably not going to end up using that one for the final sound, but it's good for a placeholder. Because the alternative is this, which isn't bad, but it's not really good. So I'm just going to go ahead and use scissors cut. All right, and the actual, let's see, the actual transform for that is going to be U, I think. I don't think we'll need to parent the sound. We only really care about their actual, no actual parenting. Come on now. You don't think I'm going to compliment you on the first compliment? I take at least 3 compliments before I compliment a guy. Come on, man. I don't just give those things out willy-nilly. Anyway, so that's going to be the sound that we play when we actually cut something. For now, let's go ahead and... Do I need the scissors to be active? Actually, they're already active, aren't they? They are. They're just scaled down to 0. Who says such things? The scandal. Let's see here. Bridge, oh, wrong thing. Scissors positioned, and we want bridge collapse. So we're going to go ahead and drag scissors parent into here. And I don't think I'm going to need to scale anything. This is going to be super weird, though, because our parent's going to be set to 0 initially, but it's actually going to eventually be scaled to 1. Jeez, this is going to be all sorts of annoying to do. All right. So I guess 0, 5. That's fair. All right. Let's go to bridge collapse. And we are going to add a couple more animation tracks. These are going to be for our Sizz and Zor parts of Scissor. And let's go ahead and assign those, I guess, while I'm here. And cool. Let's see. I believe that... You know what? Should I actually turn this into an animation? Nah. I guess I would... I could move some of this stuff into an actual proper animation controller, or sorry, animator controller, and that might save me some effort. But it kind of makes it less flexible, so I'm not really inclined to do that. but it would keep me from having to position these things all the time. No, I think it's fine if I just don't do that. Alright, so let's go ahead and start things off with, I guess, the actual parent position. So we're going to start you. You'll be at 1, and then 0, then 1, oops, 1, then 0. So we're going to get its rotation and its position set up. And we can stop that. That's all we care about for now. That's interesting. I don't remember it. Ah, freak. I did the wrong thing! Ah! Dang it. I didn't mean to do scissors. I was like, I shouldn't have a name there. And since I don't know how to actually remove factors, I just have to delete this. I don't know why they do that, but it's very annoying that they do. So we're going to add another animation track. Drag that up to the top here. Let's drag our scissors parent in. We'll hit record. We'll do the same thing that we were just doing, except it's going to be actually here. So 19, 18, 1 rotation, 0 rotation. All right. So that should be everything that we need. Let's go ahead and stop recording for now. We're going to need to position our scissors to their initial correct position, which I believe is going to be 0 and 0.25 with a rotation of 30. I believe that's the case. Let's go ahead and position our source part, and that's going to be also at 0. It's going to be at negative 0.25 and a rotation of negative 30. All right, so there's our initial scissor open position. So now we're going to need to have it snip and then snip and snip. Basically, I think I want to have it, well, trying to think if I should have it like snip before we actually get to the ropes, so sort of do like a chomping motion. Well, no, because it's really close. So I don't really have a good distance to have it build anticipation like that. Because it would kind of make sense for it to be like a snip, 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 and then shunk, shunk, as it cuts the ropes. Yeah, all right. We'll do that. No, actually not. No, we won't. We'll have it do its initial opening. All right. Let's go ahead and turn this off. I'm actually going to watch. Okay, I don't know what's happening there. I'm going to watch the original cutscene and see what it looks like. Okay, let's go ahead and unload this scene. So we're going to rewatch this and we'll be able to determine what we want to do from that. Because I kind of want to have it move forward, constantly cutting. Of course, it'll only cut when it gets to the rope, but you know, it's scissors. I feel like they're more intimidating when they're being used. Okay. All right. Definitely need sound effects for the magic. Okay, so from there, we're going to have it just kind of imagine the scissors chomping, like Pac-Man kind of. And then when we get to the actual rope, it'll sort of rear up a little bit more dramatically, cut so hard that it actually reverses the position of the scissors and the swords, and then it'll cut in the other direction before resuming its chomping motion as it moves around. And then we'll do the same thing where it cuts, chomps back, and then explodes. Or something. I don't actually know how it's going to exit yet. I'm still trying to figure that one out. But it may or may not have been your kitty cat. I doubt that. She would never betray me like that. At least I assume she wouldn't. Would you, cat? Oh. She's sleeping right now. Alright. So let's go ahead and go back to bridge collapse scene. Let's go to our timeline. Alright, that's going to get really annoying really fast. Okay, so let's go ahead. I really... I don't want to have to constantly animate the opening and closing, but that's kind of what it's going to do. I wonder if there's a way I could loop it. Oh, actually, I probably could. That would be nuts. I'd be doing a timeline within a timeline within a timeline. She loves some catnip. That's not inaccurate. All right. Let's just go ahead and animate this. Okay. So from here, we're going to want to start going... I am thinking. And I am going to make an animator controller for the scissors. Because it will make more sense for me to have a single looping animation that's just like probably 60 frames long than for me to constantly keyframe open and close positions for this. So we'll call this scissors controller. Bought some for my cats for Christmas. They scratched me. Yeah. Yeah, it can be kind of funny seeing cats on catnip. All right, so I kind of think it makes sense to, I guess, have the scissors itself have an animator on it, and that's going to have the controller. So I guess let's just go ahead and animate this. Let's go over here to animation. We're going to go ahead and create a new animation clip. We'll call this, do I want to call it formation? I could drive all of this through animation. That would not be a terrible idea. But I guess we'll just do basic animations for now. So we'll say cutting. Well, snipping. Well, yeah, we'll just call it cutting. All right, so cutting animation. Let's go ahead and save that out. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and position these guys. 0.25 with a rotation of 30, then negative 0.25 with a rotation of negative 30. All right, let's go up here. Add a property for our scissors transform position, and then our scissors transform rotation. Same thing for our saws. Position and rotation. All right. So for cutting, go ahead and say at this point, the midway point between our open points, we are just going to change our, I should record this. We're going to change our sizz to be at, I think 0.5 is what we want with the 0 rotation here. And then, oh, are you serious? Really? You're going to be like that? You are. Because of course you are. Wait, what? Hold on, you're telling me that if I tried to deselect... Why? That makes no sense. Fine. I guess we're going to try to record this. Or turn off pre... That's so weird. Whatever. How do I... Then how am I supposed to do this? This is so weird. If I try to select my scissors, it just jumps. Why? You're weird. Okay. Well, that's going to make this super annoying to do, but not impossible, just annoying. Alright, let's go to the 30 again, hit record. I guess we'll just manually keyframe this crap. add key for everything. Let's go to our position X. You're going to be at 0.5. I'll manually do all this. -0.5, 0, 0. So we get this motion. Okay. Let's go ahead and minimize. Well, we'll keep them open for now. If I go to curves, if I hit F so that these are all up here. Do I want easing in or easing? Well, hold on. I'm thinking snip, 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 snip. I don't really think that they slow down. They just kind of hit. So it makes less sense for a curve in. So like that kind of makes more sense. Something like that. That's not bad. We might actually shorten that. So let's go. Let's turn off recording. Maneuver all this stuff. Let's go back to our dope sheet. Dope sheet. What on earth is up with that? What? Huh. Okay, sure. Why not? Alright, so we're going to zoom in here. Cat, yes, I see you. I see you, Cat, but you can't be up here while I'm working. Alright, let's go ahead, move this stuff out. I have no idea what happened to these keyframes. Huh. Okay, I think that's probably fine. Same thing here, though. We're going to want it to be a little bit more harsh. Take a look at that. Yeah, there we go. The main thing is that for mechanical motions like this, when you cut using scissors, most of the time you're not kind of easing out. You're not slowing down as you cut. You actually just kind of go until it stops. So we want it to be more of a like chomp, chomp, chomp motion. Let's go ahead and turn off preview. Go up here. I really wish that there was a nice clean way to shorten this, but there's not as far as I know. I can shorten the samples and I can shorten the and I can manually move the keyframes. I just wish that there was a nice way for me to actually do anything with that. Seriously, what? Oh, that's the rotation, right? Okay, that makes sense. So let's go over here to rotation. I guess we'll focus on these guys. There we go. Same thing. We want harder motion. Right about there. That would be a cat running in the background. Oh, except I totally did that backwards, didn't I? Hold on. Ah, freaking hell. Let's see. We want to go flat on these guys, actually. But in the center, that's not the case. That's not what I want. So we're going to go ahead and say broken. Sink in a little bit more like that. Come down here. Broken. Sink in a little bit more like that. Alright, so this is what it should look like now. There we go. So it feels more like it's stopping when it actually gets to the cut part. Alright, let's go ahead and stop. Scroll back. So there's our cut animation. Why on earth are you wrong? That is so weird, but okay. I guess we'll also have open and close keyframe animations for now. These aren't going to be much. We just pretty much are going to call this one open. Let's go ahead and might as well make this 0.25 and then 30. Okay, let's go up here to scissors. Let's go over to open. We're going to add properties for our position and our transform, of course. I really wish that I could just add multiple ones at once instead of doing it one by one. Rotation. We're going to go ahead and slide this over. It's going to be one sample because it's not going to actually animate. It's just this one. Okay, let's go ahead and create a new clip. We're going to call this closed. Closed.nim. Go ahead and save that. We're going to add some new transform values. Let's go ahead and, actually, you know what? Before we even do that, let's go ahead and animate these guys. 0.5, 0, 0.5, and 0. Nice. All right, let's go back over here to closed. And I did you wrong, didn't I? You are negative 0.5. Doop. There we go. Let's go ahead, move this. We're going to go to closed. Add our properties. Okay. So I know we got a little bit of a fun setup here doing all this keyframing, but once this is actually done, it'll mean that we won't have to constantly animate keyframing. Alright, so there's our closed animation. Cool. Let's go ahead and do one more, which is going to be our... no, that gets a little... I might have to do the other animations in timeline, or I might want to at the very least. Because the like super dramatic cutting animation is going to involve like the scissors opening up wider than expected or wider than normal, then quickly swinging down and sort of reversing their position before swinging back the other way to correct themselves, and that's how they cut both ropes. The first one cuts the first set of ropes, which is on the left here. Then the correction, where it switches from the swords being on top and scissors being on bottom, is the second rope getting cut. Yeah, I guess we can try to animate that here. We'll go ahead and say dramatic cut. Go ahead and create that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll do position, rotation, I don't know, and I think we're going to want them to, I guess they'll start closed, and then that way then when they get to the other side, they'll end up closed. Ah, oh, dang it, no, I just realized, I would actually kind of prefer them to stay closed like this on the second one. That's going to be somewhat anticlimactic since Sizz will be on bottom. So we'll... Okay. So I guess to show you what I'm thinking, let's go ahead and edit these things. So I'll add an... Oh, crap. Not an animation event. I want a keyframe. Add key. So we're going to change this to 0.25, negative 0.25, with a rotation of 30, then a rotation of negative 30. Except, actually, we want this to be larger, so these are probably going to be 40 and 40, so wider than normal, before we swing down to 0.25, I'm sorry, 0.5. Oh, wait, no. This is going to be, I guess, negative 0.25 with a rotation of negative 30, and then this will be a positive 0.25 with a rotation of positive 30. Okay, so not quite. We actually need to go a little bit more. So negative 0.4 and positive 0.4. Straight up negative 0.5 then. There we go. So we end up kind of facing the opposite direction. So you're going to see like that. You see that kind of really dramatic, and then it's going to switch back like that before closing. Except it's not going to, I don't want it to open awkwardly like that. That's what I'm trying to avoid. So we're going to have the open wide, then a rapid cut, then we'll kind of go back. And I don't really want it to, I don't want it to be open like this because that kind of feels less climactic, I guess, than having it be closed like a hard cut, cut. But I do like the symbolism. I do like the look of it cutting so hard that it literally inverts, and then cutting so hard it inverts again. Man, I just wish. I don't know if I want to start it off on this. No, it doesn't really make sense for them to switch places before the first cut. I guess, you know what, I'll just end with it open. That way it can continue doing its chomping motion as it gets to the other side. So that's actually not that bad. All right, then we'll end with, I guess we'll just kind of go over here. Let's change things to be what they need to be. So this is going to be 0.25, negative 0.25, with a rotation of 30 and negative 30. All right, so this is what it's going to kind of look like. Except we're going to definitely need to stretch this out more. So, I don't want to do this. Let's make this 1.5 seconds for now. I don't know if that's actually going to be what we want, but... Oh, and actually, so this should be our... not halfway. Yeah, okay, so... cut. That's kind of like our halfway point, so we're going to put that in at like 1. Put this in at 30. So open, cut. Oh, and also these guys should be negative 40 and 40, which does mean that these guys are going to be at 0.5 or 0.4. There we go. Okay, so we're going to get this animation. Okay, but you can see that, oh, right. I was going to say that. That's why it took so long, is because I messed that up. I did 150 as opposed to 130. So let's take a look at that. Oh, right. I also don't need that to be reversed, do I? Except I do. Right. Let's go ahead and go to about here. We're going to manually keyframe these things. And we want position of point... Well, no, hold on. Yeah, okay, that's going to be a little awkward. Let's put you here, put you here. So it's going to be 0.25. Negative 0.25. 40 and negative 40. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. It's kind of awkward. I thought there used to be a way to tell it not to loop. But I guess that's not the case anymore? That's weird. I mean, that looks pretty good to me. So let's go ahead and... I think we might actually want to compress this down a little bit more. So let's slide everything over by about 10. So you're actually going to be 140. You're going to be 1. Exactly, and you're going to be 1. Let's take a look at that. Not quite actually, because I need, once we cut the first time like this, I want it to stay like that for a little bit before we start cutting again, because we need the dramatic pause so that you can sort of focus and realize what's happening. So we want it to go sink, sink like that. We don't want it to go sink, sink. That's too fast. Okay, so let's go ahead and I guess that means can I like yeah, there was a way to copy frames. There we go. So let's go ahead and hold for a little bit. We're going to slide these guys over by about 10. Okay, so this is what it'll look like now. I don't like the stuttering that happens. That's not because of the keyframe, it's because the processing apparently just stutters for a bit there. Okay, so we can do this, but we're going to have to do some trickery to get this to look right. We're going to go to our curves. So we want you, and while they're still like this, I actually want them to be rotating slightly, so that they kind of like extend up, like they increase their rotation slightly before snapping back down. So let's go ahead and grab our rotation values here. Hit F. So I actually want the right tangent to be free, which means that I can do this. Left tangent needs to be free, so I can raise slightly. So now you can see that the source continues to move, so it doesn't look like it just stops mechanically. Although I guess we'll want to extend that a little bit more, something like that maybe. That's not quite good enough. Right about there. So let's take a look at that real quick. That's pretty good. Yeah, the top feels a lot better now that it's doing that. So we're going to do the same thing on bottom. Right tangent, free. Left tangent, free. Okay, so let's go ahead and do something like that-ish. Like that-ish. Okay, so let's take a look at that. That's pretty good. All right. I feel like I could make that a little bit more exaggerated. Like, maybe I should crank that stuff way, way up. Like that. It almost looks a little too cartoonish, but I like that. That's actually a lot better. Right about there, I think. It's also just a little hard to tell because it moves so quickly. So I think we're going to want to extend that even further. I think we're going to want to multiply the total time this takes by about like 1.5. So maybe it should take about 140 for this all to end. So we drag that, which means that we're dragging you to about there. And let's drag you over to about there. That seems right. So we're moving in 20 frame intervals. Not bad. So we get scissors. Not bad. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and turn off that preview. Let's go ahead and create a folder here for animations. Go ahead and create a scissors folder. That way I can drag these guys back up to there. Come on. Oh, too far. Aha! Okay. So with that, we're going to want, I think, closed to be the default state. Let's go ahead and we have closed and open, but I don't actually have an opening animation, which is kind of funny. Let's also do a couple of things. Close does not loop time, nor does open, nor does dramatic cut. It is only cutting that's going to have the looping. So we're going to make some, I guess, bools. Do I want to do triggers? And we'll say is open, I guess. And we'll also have a bool for is cutting. Okay. So from here, go ahead and position these guys in kind of like a quad. We're going to go ahead and make a transition over to open, which might actually get me the look that I want anyway. And that worked out pretty well. Okay. So that's not going to have an exit time. Instead, it's only going to happen if is open is set to true. True. Same thing. Okay. We're going to go ahead and make another transition back. It's going to do the exact same thing, but in reverse. So is open is equal to false. No exit time. Otherwise, it'll automatically go back. Let's go to cutting and open, and like everything has to go back to everything else. Do I want to go from dramatic cut? Yeah, okay. So I can go from dramatic cut to open, and I can go from close to dramatic cut, but I can't go the reverse of those, because dramatic cut starts with with it being closed, and it ends with it being open, so it can't transition to close because that doesn't really make sense. All right, so we're going to say a transition here for right. That's going to be a trigger, I guess. We'll try it. We'll try the trigger. I typically don't use triggers, but we'll try it. All right, so dramatic cut, no exit time, no exit time, and crap. Actually, I guess that would be an exit time thing, wouldn't it? Okay, so I guess that's simple. Let's go ahead and transition back here. So if is cutting is equal to true, we'll do that. Oh, and you know what? Actually, I should do this. And is cutting is set to false. There we go. That makes sense. And this is actually is cutting is equal. Oh no, that's right. Okay, so again, no exit time. Is cutting is equal to true. Okay, you're good. You're good. Oh, sorry. Did that wrong. You are actually just dramatic cut. Okay, we got everything? Almost. Not quite, though. So we're going to go ahead and say if is open is equal to true and not cutting. No exit time. And then the reverse. So if is cutting is equal to true, no exit time. And you guys are already set up. So I think we're good. Oh, nope. These guys need to go back. Let's go ahead and say if is open is equal to false and is cutting is equal to false. No exit time versus no exit time, but is cutting is equal to true, and actually we don't care about is open, that doesn't matter. Alright. So that animator is set up now. That should do everything that we want for the scissors. So now we're just going to have to set this stuff up in timeline. So let's go ahead and go back here to bridge collapse. Go to timeline. You know, I'm not really going to need these things anymore. So we're gonna start with them being open, I guess. Ah, crud. Dang it. Well, hooray! I get to move my my freaking scissors positioning into animator. Great. So we got to go back here, and I need to add a new clip. Um, so this is going to be our, I guess, form scissors clip. So for this, we're going to need them to be at 0 and -5, and then just 0. Okay, let's go ahead and go back over here. We're going to go to form scissors. We'll add our properties. Position. We'll have to add rotation even though we don't really need it, but I will add it anyway. Position and then rotation. Okay. So from here, we want to end up at 0, 0.25, I'm sorry, 0.5, and then -0.5 and 0. Oh, except, that sucks so hard. Fortunately, it's just in the x-axis. I actually don't want it to be 0 and 0 for the x positions. I need them to be -0.25. Sorry, -2.5. -2.5. And the reason for that is otherwise the scissors does all of the motion there, and we don't actually want that. We want them to move kind of equidistant to be in the center, like that. Yep, that is better. Alright, well, that means that we need to actually go over to all of our dramatic cuts and change our X position keyframe to be that. -2.5. Let's go ahead and grab that. Wow, that is not at all what I wanted to do. Drag you. Same thing. Oh, there actually wasn't keyframes for that. Oh, that's actually fair. So I think I can actually get rid of this keyframe. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Delete key. No need to do that if we're not going to actually do anything with it. Same thing there, actually. Cool, so now that's all in the -2.5 positioning, which gives us what we want. Let's go ahead and swap over to closed. Over here. Open, it's going to be the same deal. I hate it when I do stuff like that and I just completely forget that I'm supposed to animate in a specific way. I was wondering why it looked like the timeline was farther apart. It's like, oh yeah, because I had that whole positioning thing that I had to decide last time. Okay, right. Same thing here. Let's go ahead and keyframe you, which actually means that I feel like I can ignore this key for greater simplicity. There we go. Key. So now we can go ahead, set you as points. Oh, dang it. -2.5. I hit Control C instead of Control V. Alright. So one quick test. Play through that. Nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn you off. So we have our form scissors clip now. Cool. Alright, let's go ahead and swap over to our timeline again. Oh, actually, no, before I forget. Let's go ahead and move our form scissors animation up to where it needs to go. Eventually we'll get there. There we go. Um, and from there, we're going to want to go to bridge collapse, get to our animator, sorry, no, timeline. And now we are going to switch to adding an animation parameter track. Let's go ahead and add that up here. So we're going to start cutting. This is going to be super weird too. I wonder if we can do blending. I haven't set it up, so this might be a day that we experiment with clip caps, actually. Ugh. Don't know if that's going to be good or bad. Let's add our scissors to this. So our animator is going to be is cutting. It's going to be our value. That's going to be a bool. It's going to be set to true. Okay. Then that's going to last 2 seconds. I think we can do it in 1 second. Yeah, you know what? We'll do it for 2 seconds. This is also going to be one of the annoying things, is that we're going to be working with animations, but I won't actually be able to see the poses for the animations until we play in real time. So we're kind of going to be doing some guesswork here and trying to get this to work properly. So let's go ahead and add another animation clip. Okay, so they don't blend at all. And we might want to change that. So I think we're going to try to set it up so that when we blend, it's going to blend the states. I have no clue if that... Actually, you know what? I guess that doesn't matter because they're not going to blend anyway. We're just telling the animator to blend. So, and never mind. That's actually that's not a concern that I need to have. So I can just go ahead and set this to just end on 3. Last one thing. We're going to set a trigger for dramatic cut. And from there, I guess we should also set is cutting to be false. Because otherwise I think it's going to go right back. Oh, right, and the form scissors. Oh, crap. Hold on. When I did form scissors, did I tell it to open? What? Oh, it's because I'm in timeline mode still. Oops. Hold on. Or not. Then why? Okay, whatever. Let's go ahead and play. Wrong thing. Form scissors. Okay, so I just tell it to move into that position. That's fair. In that case, I don't really have a good lerp for that. Okay. I guess we'll kind of cheat and just make a quick trigger for that. I don't know how well it's going to go, but we'll find out. And from that, we'll just transition back to closed. So we'll just say form scissors when that's called, no exit time. Okay. That is so awkward. Nah, that's not going to work. I have to have a actual animation state for when it's like that, when it's not even formed. So I guess we'll call this unformed. Unformed? Is that even a word? Unformed? Well, whatever. We're going to call that unformed. Okay. So let's go ahead and add our position and rotation values here. Position and then our source rotation. This is also going to be one of those one frame animations. Alright, that's all we care about there. Go ahead and turn off that preview, go down here. Move this all the way up to get it to where it'll eventually be. Oh, freaking. I dropped it on a clip, which means that nothing happened. Come on. You can do it, Unity. I went right past it, didn't I? I did. There we go. All right. So unformed will actually be our default state now. So we're going to delete you. Set this as our default state. Make our transition. This will be our trigger with no exit time. Form scissors, and then from there we'll go into closed. All right. So let's go ahead. This like this. So it's more no longer a quad. It's more like a sort of line, I suppose. And we'll put you there. Cool. Let's go ahead and save. Let's go over here to our bridge collapse timeline. And I guess we're going to have form is cutting. No, it's going to be in the open position, isn't it? We might have to switch over here to player position real quick. Oh, I'm sorry, not that. Scissors positioned. So we have play particles. We have our scaling going on. So let's come down here to scissors. Okay, so right about here is where I started to move those things. But since that's all being done via animation now, or being via an animator, I'm going to go ahead and add an animation track. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong thing. We're going to add a set animator parameter track, then another set animator parameter track. Actually, no, we don't really care about that. Let's go ahead and drag the scissors into that. Okay, that was weird. We're going to go ahead and add a set animator parameter track. It's going to start at about 480. That's going to last for all of 1 second. Going to have just basically like a sequence of 4 of these, I think. So this is going to be our trigger, and that's going to be form scissors, I believe. That's what we called it. Not the asset store. Yep, form scissors. Let's go back here. Then we're going to have another animator parameter clip. It's also going to only last for 1 second. This is going to be setting is open to true. Okay, so what we're currently going to see is that's the formation. Then that's, I'm sorry, we have a delay for the opening. That's fair. So we're going to move that over here. And then we should have basically the same effect that we were getting from before, just now with animator components. Let's go ahead and scroll this out. I'm going to mute these 2 tracks. Okay. And well, thank you, Jacob Shrimp. Always nice to have a new follower. Also, welcome to the stream. Alright, so for this, we're going to go ahead and play the cutscene. I want to see what it looks like. So we're going to see what we currently have. And to actually do that, we do have to do it in real time. Unfortunately, I can't actually scrub, because animations don't work that way in timeline. Alright, let's take a look at this. Alright, so we have the wizard's appearance. Still need some more sound effects and effects for that in general. Okay, so this is what we're going to pay attention to. I want to make sure that the movements look correct. So breakage, movement. Ooh, that's actually better than before because it's so sudden. Okay, so let's start actually trying to hook up the other, or the next cutscene. And then for that, we're going to, I think, do the initial pass for the scissors themselves. And then once the scissors path is plotted out, at least past this point, we will swap over to Karante and try to get that stuff done, or at least animated and started. Alright, so let's go ahead and go back to Bridge Collapse. Alright, so from here, alright, gotta scale you back up. From here, we're going to want to set our position, and let's see. I'm thinking it's going to take about 2 seconds, which is 120 frames, to get from here, where it currently is, to a cutting position, which is going to be enough for 2 snips before we get to the dramatic cuts. So let's go ahead and say we get a half second between the eyes cutting and the dramatic cut. Let's go ahead and add another animator clip. We'll make this one last for just half a second. I'm going to move this over to here. We're going to have this set is cutting to false so that it can stay closed. And I suppose that means that we're going to want to set is open to false as well. I probably should have made these lists instead of a single one. Either way it works. It just gets a little awkward because I can't really stack multiple ones cleanly, and I don't want to have 2 tracks. But we'll see what this does. Oh, well, no. Yeah, all right. Okay, so we have our opening, then is cutting is going to be set to false, which will probably look weird for now, but that's fine. Because I think it's going to go to open before it goes to close for the dramatic cut. But let's go ahead and position our actual parent. So this is probably going to end up at here-ish, so 15.5. Which is not, can I do just an even 15? Maybe. Okay, from there, we're going to do a dramatic cut, which probably means we're going to actually want to keyframe that again, right about here. -15. And then when we start the cut, I think we're going to want to be at 14? And significantly lower, I think. Although we might do a broad switch over to that to make it much lower anyway. Okay, so from there, we're going to have... This is going to be kind of awkward because we have to animate a forward cutting motion and then a kind of recoil before another lurch. Because we want this to make it feel like it's... Think like a snake, basically. How a snake attacks, it rears up and goes back before lunging forward. So I'm going to want the scissors to actually kind of like go up, then go back slightly before cut, then back slightly before cut. So for that, let's see. So it's going to be like this. So actually for anticipation, we don't want it to be at 14. We probably want it to be more like 15.5. So back from 15 to 15.5. Before landing, I think we were going to be probably about there. So we're probably looking at -13. Nope, probably more than that. Probably -12. So that would be our first cut. Then we're going to rear up for 10 frames. So that'll be at 12.5. Before we lurch forward again to end up at, if I can get it right, -10. Oh man, no, we're going to have way more than that. We're looking at like -5. Not -5, just -5, I think. And then we'll end up a little bit further past that at an ending spot of, I think, 4? -4? Maybe -3. Okay, so I think that will work, but let's see what that looks like in practice. Let's go ahead and scale you guys down. I'm willing to bet this is going to look nothing like I actually expect it to. Oh, and before I forget, we do need to actually add the, let's rename this to scissors positioned. Let's add another play cutscene track. Let's go ahead and put that up here. So this is going to be our bridge collapse. Alright, we'll add a play cutscene clip. Let's drag that out here. Let's assign bridge collapse. Put you right about there. All right, so now it should actually play. And let's take a look at that. I have high hopes, but low expectations. That's the secret to life. All right. Move back. Wizard gets into position. And scissors. Well, that did not do what I was expecting it to. Oh, that's because I didn't set up a trigger for that, did I? Let's go back here. I didn't do it from open. I guess that means that I need to be able to do it from open? Or I just need to make sure that it's closed before we do anything else. So let's go ahead and go back here. We're going to, I guess, just convert this to a 2-second clip. Or to a 1-second clip, I'm sorry. Then add another set animator parameter clip that will last for 1 second. Let's drag that over to here. That's going to be is open is equal to false. Okay. That should help, I think. So let's take a look at that one. I really, really want to get to the bridge collapse today. I really do. I've wanted to. We've been working on this cutscene for like 2 weeks now. It's time. It's past time for the freaking collapse. All right. I also need to get some clutter up here. It's just like open barrenness. I don't know, rocks or something to just break up the monotony. Even though you're never really supposed to be over there for long, it just feels like I need something. Okay, then cut, cut, and cut, cut. That was actually pretty close. I did not expect that to go as well as it did. Okay, I guess let's go ahead and do a couple of things. Let's go to bridge collapse. We're going to go to this cutscene, and we are going to need to play a couple of sounds. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. This is going to be bridge. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Bridge 1, cut 2. Also, we'll call this bridge 2, cut 1, and bridge 2, cut 2. This is one of my only real criticisms of timeline, is when you have a clip selected and you try to edit its name, you can't tell that it's currently editing it. So I can navigate and you can see the character, but if I don't do that, you wouldn't know that I was editing that name field. It's kind of annoying, because they're the same shade of blue, so you just don't notice. In any case, so there's scissor cut 1, right about there. Wait, hold on. That's the rear back, and then there's the actual cut. Okay, so we're going to get to... Wait, hold on. What? There's the rear back, and there's the cut. So right about there is where we want... I think we'll be fine putting it there. Is where we want the cut sound for that. Then we get the rear back, and then right about there as well is where we want that cut. So, okay. I think that's giving us good positioning and good sound. So we'll take one more quick look at this, and then we're going to swap over to Karante and simulate the actual collapsing portion, and then we'll try to bring that over to to this scene to get it to happen. So, at the very least, we are going to get this first bridge collapsing. I refuse to stop until that bridge collapses tonight. Okay. You know, I probably could also just trigger that final animation. Instead of going through all of them. Alright. Looks like it needs to affect the sorting order on the wizard's beard. I don't think it's set up right. Then snip, snip, and snip. That's... okay, that works. So, let's take a look at the timeline real quick. I want to know how quickly those cuts happen. So we're talking about 1 and 2. So 195 is the endpoint and about 160. So it's 35 frames apart, which is half a second. All right. Cool. I think I got this. So let's go ahead and we're going to swap over to our... let's go ahead and collapse these things because we don't really need them. I'm going to collapse all of the folders that are open that don't need to be. Actually, I do kind of need you open still. Probably going to need you guys open. Won't need you. Okay, so we're going to go over to the canyon modeling, and now we're going to actually animate. Please tell me these are the... oh, they're not. All right. So we're going to have to do this from scratch anyway. This is going to be fun. Do I want to just delete it and start over? Not really. I really don't. Let's go ahead and select this. Oh, I don't have the fragmented version of this pulled in. All right. Got to do that real quick. Tamaya. Okay, so I need to export the version of the bridge that has the ropes cut, and then we'll be able to actually simulate an explosive force on the ropes when we cut through them to separate them and cause them to collapse. Alright, so let's go ahead, go to recent files. We want Canyon Bridge 02, I believe. Are you separate? You are not. Do I have one that's actually called separate? Surely I'm not. What the frig? Hold on. Let's go over here to game development, Unity, text quest, art, models, overworld, canyon scenes. I know I friggin' modeled this. Did I... which one is it? Because it should be... hold on. Yeah. No! Oh! Oh, never mind. I got turned around. Oh. I thought I cut these in the wrong order. I thought this was our second bridge. Oh, no, this was the first one. Whew! Okay, yeah. So this is the bridge on the right. Hold on. So this bridge right here is this bridge in Maya. Whew, got turned around. I'm going to rotate so I'm facing the right way. I was like, why won't it work? Okay, so I have these ones set up in a way that the ropes have been pre-cut and they're fragmented. So if we want to see what these look like without their ends, you can see that I have a middle part that says rope, and of course the reverse is true as well. So we're going to just go ahead and export all of this stuff and bring it into Unity. Okay, so I need to export ropes and planks. That's it. So let's go ahead and say File, Export Selection, and this is going to be, yeah, see, I have a fragmented one. Weird. I must just not have actually imported it. I exported it, but I didn't actually pull it into Unity, I guess. Is that really true? I guess. Huh. I don't believe it. But that is the truth. Alright. Let's go ahead and go back down here. We're going to have the create folder fragmented bridge. Or actually, you know what? We'll just call this bridge fragmented instead of fragmented bridge so that they get grouped next to each other. There we go. Let's go ahead and go back up here. Canyon bridge fragmented. Pull that in. Alright, make sure that it's scaled to 100 times its regular size because that's the differences between Maya and Unity. Let's go ahead and grab that. Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and disable this object because it's the Karante simulation for the old bridge and I don't really need that. Instead, I'm going to make a new Karante effects object. Oh, and it brute forces it awake. Okay, that's fair, I guess. Can I? Yeah, new effects. There we go. I want to turn you off unless you're going to keep forcing it back on, but I really hope you don't. All right. So this is our Canyon Bridge fragmented. Before I do anything else, I will go ahead and steal this transform, copy component. Let's paste this component values. Okay, we're going to move you over to here. I suppose Canyon Bridge posts will be a special thing because I don't actually export the posts with the animation. They're irrelevant, but I do need them for anchoring. So I'm guessing these guys already have, yeah, Karante bodies on them, but that shouldn't matter too much. So, okay, before we do anything else, I suppose we'll go ahead and assign our materials. Well, our material. Gotta just deselect all of my empty parent transforms. And there we go. All right. Scroll down, and we want our... None of that. We want our Canyon Bridge. Okay. So, as you can see, the ropes have their materials, the planks have their materials, everything should be good. Alright, so now we need to simulate this. We have the separation between the two of them, so we're going to have to set everything up again. So we're basically going to set up, I'm curious if this will reactivate it. It does, okay, so it's just going to keep forcing it. So we're basically going to recreate this, but with new meshes. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and close Maya. No reason to have it open. Let's swap over to Karante FX. I'm going to disable the bridge again. I guess mostly for convenience. All right, I'm going to rename. Oh, I guess I can't. I'm just going to rename it here then. So this is going to be... Alright, I'm going to do two different simulations too, so that actually makes things a little weird, but it should be fine. So I'm going to call this bridge 2 _ collapse, meaning that we're only going to really care about this first bridge. We're not, or this bridge over here. We don't care about the bridge over on the left at all. I'm also going to go ahead and give us a little bit more room to work with here. Okay, so first things first. I'm going to do a little bit of organization, so we're going to have some before, but we're going to have some new groups. So we have irresponsive bodies that we need, we have soft bodies that we need, we have rigid bodies that we need, and then we have joints, and then we're going to have explosions. Okay. Go ahead and rename these. So irresponsive. We'll have these be rigid bodies. This will be ropes. This will be joints. And this is going to be our explosions. I guess explosions is better. I was going to call them forces because that's technically correct. Because I think we want, it's going to be a explosion demon or daemon. I never really know how to pronounce those. And basically what we're going to do is when the scissors cut the ropes, I kind of want them to like push apart a lot. So it's not enough to actually like fling the bridge proper anywhere, but it is enough to cause sort of like a rear up before it falls down, just so that it makes it look like the scissors have force behind them. Okay, let's go over here to bodies. We're going to make some irresponsive bodies. This is going to be our, where are you? Rename. This is going to be our posts. And all we're going to do there is just drag these guys in. Okay, that's all we needed from them. Rigid bodies, we're going to go ahead and say, I need to actually create a rigid bodies thing. We're going to call this planks. All right, and for that, we're going to want bridge 2 planks. So we're just going to drag that in there. All right, then we're going to have ropes. So we're going to have a rope rigid body, or a rope soft body, sorry. For that, we're going to actually need to separate this into the main ropes and the suspension ropes, which are the secondary vertical ropes that you see there. So we'll call these main ropes. We'll go ahead and add another one, call this suspension ropes. Go ahead and put main ropes first. Okay, so for this we want the main ropes left. Actually, that's not quite good enough. No, it's fine, actually. And then this. Then we have main ropes right. So both of those will have the same settings because they're both the same ropes for all intents and purposes. Then we're going to have No! No! Dang it. Great. You did it for those, all 4 of them, didn't you? Yep. Alright, that's fair. Fine. That sucks. So I don't have enough tessellation in these ropes, basically. Okay, that is going to make things a little bit more complicated. Yeah, okay. I know what to do then, real quick. We're going to delete those guys. So I'm going to, this is going to be like a super quick test. But I'm going to just add a whole bunch of subdivisions and hope that that's enough to the fragments to make them be interpreted by Karante as rope. Okay, so let's go over to recent files, Canyon Bridge 02. Okay, for this, I'm actually just going to go ahead and increment and save right off the bat. Okay, and we're... I really didn't want to do this because it's going to be so messy. Edge, we're just going to insert a bunch of edge loops. Come on. And do I want to... do I want to add more? Hey, that would probably be fine. Let's go ahead and just add all of these. Okay, so we're going to subdivide everything by basically 8. Oh, you know what actually we can do instead of that? Oh, that will make my life so much easier. Okay, so we're going to grab this, and instead of subdividing that way, we're going to do it a little bit easier, and we're going to actually just go ahead and say edge mode, select these edges, and select these edges, and we're just going to add divisions. That will be much easier. We're going to add 3 divisions to each, and then we're just going to simply connect the dots. So it's going to be a little tedious, but you know, it'll be a little bit better. And I think it will actually be a little bit more in line with what we would expect. Okay. Once we do this first one, I'm actually going to go ahead and import it into Unity as is to see if this does successfully create a body. And if it does, then we'll continue on with the other ones. I don't really want to spend... Can I cheat and select all of them? Because that would be cool. I'm going to guess no. Oh, I guessed wrong. Or I guessed right, depending on how you look at it. But for the most part, I guessed wrong. Alright, so let's go ahead, grab all of these guys, connect, connect, and connect. Alright, so let's do this too. Merge vertices. That's 74 verts currently. Okay, good. Just making sure that I didn't have like a connected or an end that wasn't connected properly. All right, so let's go ahead and just export this as is. So we need ropes and planks again. Go ahead and new file. Export selection. That's going to be our fragmented. Yes, that's fine. Okay, we're going to come over to here. Select. Let's clear you out. And show Explorer. We're just going to straight up replace this. All right. So now when we create a rope body, it should say failed to create rope body, hopefully for the bottom one, but not for the top one. So let's find out. Bottom one. Dang it! Seriously? So why? What's different about them? What failed? So it's annoying because it's working for our main rope, so it's working for this rope. It's not working for this rope. I don't really know why, because there's not really a huge difference in how they're structured. So you can see that this is, if we disable you, like everything's there. There's no n-gons. There's no oddities. It should it should work, but it doesn't, which is annoying. This is not a game ender, I guess. Like this isn't the worst thing ever. It's an inconvenience because it means that these ropes, these ends, won't animate like ropes. At least not tonight, because this means that I'm going to feverishly pursue this, not on the stream, but after the stream, trying to fix these things. But I'm fine doing a quick test animation without these things animating for now. It's annoying, and I really wish I knew why they couldn't be created. Actually, I wonder if I can. Interesting. ID body. Index not found. Interesting. So... I don't really want to try and guess what this stuff is doing, because I get the feeling, oh, and it's also in a DLL, which, I mean, that makes sense for them, which means that I can't even tell what it's doing, so yeah, I can't fix that for now, until I guess I have to contact Durante then and actually ask them what exactly happens when you try to make a rope. Oh, is it really worth it to use such a huge package in a non-physics based game? I mean, I'm not actually doing too much with it. Like, it's not a huge integral part, but it does do really good simulations, or it does calculate very good simulations, and you can get some really, really cool effects with it. So, actually, real quick, I'll show you a GIF of an old test that I did. Let's see, text quest, media, I think screenshots editor is what I want. So, like, this is an old test that I did, but it makes physics simulation look, or it makes it look really nice. And the nice thing is, the reason I'm using Karante is because it's not actually physics. So you basically calculate this physics simulation out ahead of time, and then you bake it down to an animation. So it looks like a really intense physics thing is happening, but you have no performance hit for it, or rather, you have a much less of a performance hit, because it's basically just keyframed animation. But it's keyframed animation from a simulation or a simulated physics interaction, so it looks very smooth. This is actually a technique that I picked up at. I never remember if this is GDC or if it was Unite one year. But basically, like, Naughty Dog does stuff like this, where they'll mix physics simulation, and they use Houdini, but Karante is much easier to use, and it's baked into Unity. So basically what I do is I simulate the bridge falling, I export that as an animation, I clean it up in Maya, and then I bring it back in, and I get this really nice looking physics set piece without the performance overhead of a physics set piece. But, you know, it's something that I've wanted to do for like a year and a half now, and that's why I'm going through all of this trouble, because at the end of the day, it does look really, really cool, and I want my levels to feel more dynamic, and having a physics simulation like this, having, the ropes get cut and the bridge collapse realistically, that just makes things feel a lot more dynamic, as opposed to, just what the current setup is, which is a static, already collapsed bridge. That's just much less entertaining. So, I know it seems like a lot of effort up front, but it will really pay off in the end. It will make things just feel a lot better in the canyon. In any case, let's go ahead and turn on our main our main rope. So we're just not going to worry about these guys for now, I guess. That's fine, and I can always resimulate these things later. It's not that hard, but I do want to get the actual simulation running and tested. So let's finish setting this up. So there's our main ropes. Oops, go back down here. Bridge 2 ropes. Bridge 2 left. There's our main ropes left. Okay. Suspension ropes. We're going to go ahead and it's just going to be straight up both of these things. So suspension ropes. Okay, good. So it looks like those are generating correctly, which means that it is just our fragmented stuff that's not properly getting set up. That's fine. All of these are pretty much good. We're going to go down to joints now. We're going to create, I believe we want close area, or close area. And actually, you know what? This is why I left the other one in the scene, is so I can reference these. In fact, I really wonder if I can copy. I can't. I suppose that's fair. But at least I can reference this. So I need 4 different close point joints. Right? 4? Or is it 5? Yeah, it's 4. One for the connection between the planks and the bottom main ropes, one for the top ropes and the suspension ropes, one for the bottom ropes and the suspension ropes, and then one for the ropes being connected to the posts. Okay, so let's go ahead and swap back over here to bridge 2 collapse. So we're going to need 4 of these. Let's go ahead and rename them. So this is going to be I guess ropes to planks. We'll rename this one to what I want to call this, I guess, ropes to posts. Actually, we'll move that up to the top since they're irresponsive. Then we're going to rename this. We'll call this main or top ropes to suspension. Yeah, we'll rename that. Hold on. We'll say top to suspension ropes. Come on. I believe in you. Top to suspension ropes. Rename. Bottom to suspension ropes. Alright. So, ropes to post is going to be with our main ropes first, of course. Grab those guys. Oh, and actually, you know what? We're going to need actually another close area. This is going to be our ropes to fragments. That's going to be the individual components of the ropes. So let's go ahead and move that to like here. Okay, so that's that. We are going to need to bring the posts in. Go ahead and put those there. Before we start messing with these values, because we're going to need to do that, I'm just going to get all the bodies set up first. Ropes to planks, that's going to be our bottom ropes. And let's see. So bottom rope left, and it's actually not going to be our fragments. We don't care about that, I don't think. We just want the actual main rope. So we'll go ahead and drag this in. Let's see, main rope's right, bottom rope, then the main rope again. And then we're going to just go ahead and drag in our bridge to planks. And top to suspension ropes are going to be... Do I need... Yep, okay, so same situation with the ropes connecting to ropes. We don't actually need the fragmented ropes to be connected to them. We just need the main ropes. So let's go ahead. I guess we'll go ahead and open up all of them. So we will go ahead and put the suspension ropes in here. Suspension ropes, left. Ah, dang it, why did I do it that way? I gotta delete these guys now. Remove. I actually want those guys to be in bodies B, because the top is first. So, we'll grab the top main ropes here, put those in here. Okay, same thing for the bottoms. Bottom main ropes. And then again, the suspension ropes. Alright, so now ropes to fragments. Right. This is kind of annoying. Let's see. Understood. Then is it possible to just hide pieces that being cut under some poof animation and then just start the bridge collapse animation? Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be hiding the pieces, because ideally what I would actually have happen is that these fragments, once the cut happens, then the fragment... oh, hold on. I gotta close the earlier Cronte bridge. The fragment would kind of sag like it's a rope, because, I mean, it is a rope. Currently it won't do that, and in fact I actually need to make... I need to make the ropes something, those fragments, otherwise the sticky part won't work. So... for now, I guess we'll treat them as rigid bodies, which is really annoying, but we'll do that. So we're going to go ahead and create rigid bodies. We're going to call this, call this one fragments. And that's just going to be our left fragment here. I'm going to clear this, make sure that it's not continuously saying that rope thing. Yeah, okay. So now that is an FX body. Hopefully it'll actually function. I guess we'll find out. Let's see. So that was our top and bottom for the left. Now we need to do the right. Also, welcome back, Sky. Good to see you again. I'd ask how you're doing, but it looks like you preemptively answered my question. Assuming that wasn't a comment on my slow pace. Okay, so let's drag these fragments in here. Oh, that was the left one. There we go. Okay. So now I think I should be able to connect our fragments down here. Then our main ropes here. Main. Okay. Last thing, actually, because the ropes to posts need to happen. I need to connect my fragments to the posts. Oh, you know what? That actually might have been pointless. Let's go ahead and change that. Get rid of all of you except for you guys. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to try to recreate all of the joints and make sure that it actually runs. And once that happens, then we'll be able to move on to simulating the cutting. Okay, so let's go ahead and say, first things first, let's collapse this. We're going to turn on this Carante bridge. I'm going to hit save, and we're going to swap over to that real quick. So we want 0.1, looks like an angle of 20, area min 0.011. Okay, so plank rope joints 1 are basically default, I think. Let's go ahead and swap back over. Ropes to planks, 20. Let's go ahead and say create. All right, so each of these, oh, frack, really? Be like that. So each of these green squares that you see, or green cubes, are the connection points. So it actually looks like my distance search might be 0.1. There we go. And those squares means that the planks are now affixed to the ropes. So when the ropes move, the planks will move with them. So let's go ahead and get the ropes to post done. Swap back over to here. I think it was something like 30 angle, and then a distance search of 1, which is not great. That's a huge distance search, but that's fine. They're not going to move. So ropes to posts. I guess a distance search of 1, and then an angle max of 30. Let's go ahead and hit create. All right. So you can see that our... Oh, did our ropes connect to one? I can't. There. Jeez. Huh. Did our ropes try to connect to each other? Oh, crud. That... Oh, frack. Really? Hold on. What are you guys? I don't... Hold on. 2, 1. Okay, so let's recreate you guys. So, you guys are affixed together for some reason. That is deeply disconcerting. We can't simulate the ropes falling if these ropes never get cut, and it looks like they won't be because they're somehow, I don't know what's generating these. These ones shouldn't have been generated yet. I didn't, right? Like I didn't make them already, did I? Unless I did it by accident. Oh, I guess I did. Okay, so that's good. That's good. Those are the ones that okay. So these ones are for the rope to rope, which is good. That's actually what we care about. And that one is going to be somewhat different, I think. Because it is not going to just never break. It's going to break at some point. Here we are. We'll say 5,000 force. We'll separate them. That should be fine. Let's go ahead and save that. And now we just need to connect our suspension ropes, and we should be good. Once we do that, we'll probably run a test simulation of just what it looks like without anything acting on it to make sure it doesn't immediately collapse. And then we'll add explosions to actually get the bridge to separate and then fall down. Okay, so for these guys, if I remember correctly, we actually have a pretty extensive modification. So a distance search of, let's see, 0.4, angle of 50, that's fair, and then 0.8, an angle of 60. Okay. So 0.4, and an angle of 50. Go ahead and create those. So that's all of our top ones. They're mostly correct, except for you, because you guys like to give me problems. Okay. Great. So 60 then. And we'll try 0.5. There we go. That's better. And we still have problems with you, though. Okay, fine. 0.6. Are you kidding me? 70. 1. Great. They're not generating connections down here, which is very annoying, highly vexing. I really don't like it. What the heck? What the frick? What is going on? There. Weird, it just kept regenerating them. Of course I can't have nice things. Is it because this is too far away? Yeah, great. Well, fine. Whatever. That's... Oh my god, I'm stupid. Of course they don't have them generating on the bottom because that's a separate joint. I feel a fool. Okay. I do have to up that though for the center to 60. Nope. Okay, so 0.5 and 50 again. There we go. All right. Let's go ahead and save that. So this one was 0.6 and 60, I believe. All right, looks like we got everything. Okay, so that should be all of our all of our bodies set up. So I am going to just run a quick simulation just to see what happens, to make sure it doesn't just immediately fall through the ground. Let's change our total simulation time to 5 seconds, quality of 25, that's usually pretty good, 60 frames a second. Because this is the modern day and we should always do 60 frames. And let's simulate. That's not good. And that's why we simulated before we tried to do an explosion. So it looks like the connections between my my ropes aren't working for my ropes and their fragments, at the very least. It's falling rather nicely, but it's not doing anything besides that. Oops! I also forgot to... Yeah, I need to do that too. I need to have the stack be solid. That can't move. Otherwise, this happens. Yeah. That's it's not quite what I meant to do. Okay, so we are at least getting some swing back, and if we wanted to, we could play this back. So that's what it would look like. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and stop this. That'll put everything back the way it was. And then I need to go up here to irresponsive and add my my river stack. There we go. Okay, so second thing, because I forgot to actually do this, we're going to check out our original bridge. I need to see what the breakage point is for the bottom. 50,000 it looks like. Okay, so let's swap back over to the bottom. Top one is not. Okay, so we're going to separate this to 50,000. I guess we'll make this 50,000 as well. It could just be that it immediately separated. Oh, and yeah, they should break if distance. Hold on. Break if distance is exceeded, which will be, I suppose, a distance of more than 0.01, so a centimeter. That's, I think, fair. We're going to do the same thing here. Break if distance exceeded. Yeah, that's probably good. All right, let's try running the simulation again. And, like, everything just immediately breaks. Okay, that's good. We're going to stop. So that means we need to increase our strength on the ropes. So ropes to fragments, we're going to increase that strength to 100,000, or for the force needed to break. Would it be better if it simulates the loss of the first support tilting to the left and collapses after losing the second? Yes, that is actually what we're going to do, because the sides of the bridge don't get cut at the same time. The left one gets cut first. I do think that we're probably going to end up resimulating this a lot, just because the current time that it takes, like the gap in time between the left and the right getting cut, is only about a half second, which isn't really going to give you much of a difference between the lead, the left side leaning and the right side falling. So we might end up extending that to be like a full second, so that the left has a much longer time to actually get some momentum and twist a little bit. But we'll see what it looks like. For now, we're just trying to make this not immediately fall as soon as the simulation starts, because we need it to hold firm until the cut happens. So let's try this now. Frickin' really? Okay, I'm gonna just set it to maximum and see if they break still. They don't, but this is, yeah. Although the bottom ones kind of immediately broke, which is not a good sign. Let's go ahead and stop. So I guess I need to set this to something like, I think 150,000? Or is that 1.5 million? That's 1.5 million. Let's see if they break. Ah, they almost held. You could see it. You could see it struggling. Dang it! God, I just have to like crank that so much. Let's just double that to 3 million. Hey. So let's go ahead and recreate that and simulate. Like it needs to hold. Okay, so the top ones held, but the bottom ones didn't. Which is going to give us a super funny effect of the ropes staying there, but the planks are not. Okay, so those clearly need to have more force resistance before they splinter like that. That's ultimately going to be what our planks end up looking like, which is fine, but yeah. All right, let's go ahead and I just want to see what that looks like because that's kind of funny. All right, stop, go back. I'm going to turn off the old bridge so that it's not getting in the way anymore. Okay, so it looks like 3 million is what we need. So I guess let's up this to 1.5 million just to see if it'll hold a little bit better. Okay, so now we should get. God, they like fragment right away. for the most part, it's... Oh, what the heck? Are you serious? Why? You were... Oh, it's because of the force. That's fair. Okay. God, that means we just have to... We have to add so much resistance to movement here. Let's double U again to 6 million. You can see it sagging and it starts to splinter. The top holds though, but then the bottom comes off. So, we're so close. Okay, let's put that up by another 3 million. Okay. Let's try this again. There we go. It's... dang it! It holds for longer at the very least. Does this happen on Jupiter? The gravity looks pretty strong. So the gravity is actually that. The gravity is Earth's gravity, negative 9.81. I'm guessing that it's just sheer mass, which, I mean, we can change that. So if we convert our main rope's density to be like 500 and we change the density of our suspension ropes, let's see what this does. This will probably actually help. Or it will do that. Don't crash, Unity. I've noticed that for some reason when I lower density on ropes, I get that. So play that back for you to let you know what it was, to let you see what it was doing. But to give you a hint, that's the first frame. Second frame, everything looks normal. Third frame, we're looking pretty good. Fourth, and then you start seeing the wobble. I have no idea why it does that, but it does. And if I had let it go, there was like a 50% chance it was going to crash my editor. So sometimes Kurante is a little difficult to work with. But it's still really cool. Just it can give you some crazy results if you don't have the right thing set up. So let's go ahead and stop that. Let's set our main ropes to be 1,000 again. Let's hit save. Let's also simulate our sides by 8 instead of 6, which is going to... Okay. Low density probably means it does not behave like a solid object, which is what we want because it's a rope. It's a soft body. It's not a rigid body. So, oh yeah, we're also going to need to do stuff like bend stiffness and torsion stiffness. Let's actually see what my old settings were because they were pretty good there. Okay, so for the main ropes, we want stretch stiffness of 200, bend stiffness of 0.05, and torsion of 0.2. Okay, so 200, 0.05, 0.2. 200, 0.05, and 0.2. That'll probably help a little bit. Let's go ahead and simulate this. Wow, really? The bottom held longer this time. Huh. Okay. Wasn't quite what I was expecting, although, yeah, having a lower density on the center rope seems to be okay for now. Although I don't like that the bottom was so affected like that. Low density probably means it does not mean a solid object or like liquid or gas. But yeah, the density stuff is... I mean, I think it has a tooltip for it. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if it's just the sheer size of the bridge is what's causing it to collapse and break these points. That would be my assumption. And let's go ahead and bump this up to 12 million. Oh dear, we're getting into floating point errors. I don't like that. The bandwidth in which the force acts on joints given in meters. Joints, dampening force. Okay, well we can't do that because we're doing soft bodies. I guess let's multiply that by 5. Maybe that'll help. Okay, let's simulate. Wow, it just like immediately falls. What's funny is that the bottom's holding actually. Ah, it almost held. Let's go ahead and stop. So this is the fun part of physics simulations is you kind of just gotta mess around with parameters until you get something that makes sense. Um, but I can't actually just wait until I can't affix these things permanently. They need to break at some point. Uh, Multiplied by the random value, the total force is calculated this way. Total force is equal to max force plus max force for randomness. That's not what I actually want. Break all in pair if you are unbroken. If you can see constraint effects between bodies, which should be completely separated. An example, some bricks of a wall stick together because not all joints are broken. Those hinged bricks can be separated with this option. The broken... That's not what we care about, actually. Plasticity? Really? This connection between joints becomes reversible. It behaves like an overstretched rubber band. Nope, we don't need that. Okay. I suppose I could increase the number of joints. Like if we increase that to 8, that will probably help because it means that more joints can try to stabilize this connection. Let's go ahead and save. Simulate. You can see that they instantaneously get strained. But they're holding. So that might actually be what we needed to do. Let's go ahead and stop that. Let's turn off the original bridge and let's simulate. I need to be able to see it clearly. Okay, so you can see that quite a few break off right away, which is not really ideal, but it holds. Ooh, but the ropes on the bottom do break. So I need to increase the strength for the connection ropes. But once I do that, I think we'll actually be in a pretty good place. As long as they hold in position without me doing anything, then we should be fine. It's gonna be a little... It's gonna be a little bit strange. In real bridge, smaller ropes won't break unless you cut only the bottom rope. Yeah, the bottom ropes breaking is a problem right now. They do need to be able to separate from the bottom ropes, just so that it doesn't get pulled up by the top ropes. If I leave the bottom rope attached to the top rope, when the bridge falls, what ends up happening is because these ropes are bent like this on the bottom, they'll actually kind of look like that when they get into their final resting position. So instead of resting flat against the stack, it'll actually be kind of like pulled up at the end, which I don't want. I might have a GIF of that, actually. Hold on. Let's see. Not that one. Not this one either. I thought I had one. Hold on. Was it this one? Ah, there. So you can see when this bridge falls down, it's getting pulled back up a little bit by the connected ropes. So I actually do need them to snap on the bottom. I know that's not as realistic, but for the sake of the presentation of the bridge, I need it to not be pulled out like this. I need it to be flush against the wall. Okay, so this is what it looks like in motion. It's a little awkward, and you can clearly tell that those ropes do not like being there. Oh man, yeah, that is not a great look, the way it jiggles like that. Um, we're going to have to be really, really good on our timing. We're going to have to swap out this rope or this bridge with the static bridge, like as at the exact moment that it gets cut. Otherwise, we'll have this terrible jiggle. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop playing. I'm going to go ahead and go to the bottom suspension ropes. We will multiply this by 4, I guess, so 6 million. Nice animation if you walk on a bridge. Yeah, I feel like that would give some people motion sickness, though. Having that jiggling and bouncing. Although it would look pretty cool. I was debating actually having some sort of like idle sway for the bridge, so it kind of like sort of like a very slight S curve, and it'll just animate along that to make it feel like it's moving back and forth and moving in the wind. So let's see if these guys break, and of course they do. So we're gonna stop that. Multiply you by 5. Actually, you know what? I might just crank you guys up to 1. Honestly. Okay, let's create, recreate, simulate. That's really not great. Alright. I think that's about as good as we're going to get for this test. So, let's go ahead and stop this. God, you can see that the ropes basically just separate as soon as it happens. Like, just... like, they are struggling to stay attached there. That is not a good look, but... hopefully it won't be that noticeable, although I'm pretty sure that it will be. Alright, so let's go ahead and add some explosive demons. I'm going to go ahead and do an explosion. I don't really know what else to do. So we'll call this Cut 1. Now... oh, cool. I was going to say, is there a way for me to tell it where to go? So we're going to want to have Cut 1. Let's go ahead and move this. Oh, I guess we'll go ahead and boop. Just so that I can get that explosion gizmo moving with me. Let's go ahead and move that over. Right about there. Almost, although that is perfect in the X. So we're going to want it to be like right about there, really. So there's our first cut. Oh, and I guess we'll have to call that Cut 1 top. That would... oh, that's a little disappointing, but I guess that makes sense. I can't have multi-origin point explosions. That's not how that works. So I guess we'll call this Cut... wow, I don't know how to phrase this. Left top cut, I guess. Alright, so we'll do that. Then let's go ahead, move this out. We're going to call this one left bottom cut. No reason I don't have spaces on these guys. Okay, before I forget anything else, let's go ahead and call these explosions. Let's go ahead and move these guys in. I'm going to move you down to about here. That's where that one is. And put my cat off of my keyboard because she wants attention. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. It's going to be on the right. Drag this over to here. Call this one right bottom cut. Move this one up. Let's see. So that's negative. Well, we don't care about that. 31.5 and 6.5. 31.5 and 6.5, right about there. Move that up. Call this right top cut. Top cut. All right. So we'll experiment with one explosion first, and then we'll experiment with having two, one on each side, or well, one on top and one on bottom. I honestly have no clue what this is going to do, so let's just simulate this. Oh, that's really disappointing. It didn't seem to do anything. Let's stop this, I guess. Resolution. Asymmetry. No, that's not really something that we care about. Momentum, decay, range 5. I would think that that would reach that. You know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and have a timer on this so it won't start right away. We'll have this fire at 3 seconds, I guess. Then see what happens. So 3 seconds, so around 100 and around frame 180, we should get an explosion. And hopefully the rope bridge will be stable enough that we can notice a jiggle from it. So let's see what happens here. We're getting there, we're getting there. And okay, it looks like it happened, but nothing came of it. So I'm going to assume that the anchors for the freaking ropes are now too strong. Or does it not affect soft bodies? That could be a problem. Well, what about... Let's go back here to ropes to fragments. Let's lower you down to 6 million. Create. Let's see if you fall, and you're all going to snap, aren't you? Don't break. Don't break. Hold. 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 No! Dang it. Dang it. It held. It held for a little bit, but it just could not hold in the end. Frack. Do you need to add bodies which are affected? No, so this this body typically means that it doesn't actually take a body. So gravity, for example, doesn't take a body. This star means that it's going to affect everything, as far as I know. But just to be sure, let me find my Karante stuff. Let's look at the manual. Look for explosions. Let's see. Explosions. Okay. Explosions, opacity. Oh! It looks like some bodies can block explosions, but I think by default they don't. Although I could be wrong on that. Let me check my ropes, I guess. Yeah, okay. That's a little annoying that I can't really read the tooltip because it shows up below my... Huh. Might be able to get a little bit of extra, but not really. explosion responsiveness. With 1, the object will be fully affected by the explosion. Okay, so it should be affected by the explosion with no problems there. But let's see. Oh yeah, this is gonna take forever, isn't it? Yeah. There we go. Let's see. Show or hide the demon's viewport gizmo. Yeah, so you can see the asterisk means that all bodies in the scene will be affected by this demon. Demon? If you want to restrict the demon to certain objects, click on the field and make your selection by appearing. Oh. Oh, so we can restrict it if we want, but we don't really have need for that. I mean, I guess I would want to limit it to just the fragment and the main rope. But that's a minor issue, really. I'm more curious as to why the reference object's animation dynamic motion is not considered. Resolution of 1 seems like it would be fine. A range of 5 meters is more than enough for what we need. Maybe we don't have enough momentum? Well, that's not right. I feel like 80,000 meters a second is pretty fast. Number of bumps. No, that's not actually what we need. I have to assume it's because the strength of the... Oh, I guess we can test that, can't we? So they have a strength. We had it at... Can I get it at like 8 million? Will that work? Let's simulate that. It's holding. Okay. So I guess we'll make our explosion have a force of 9 million. I'm a little concerned as to what that's going to do, but we're going to try it. Or, you know what, let's make it 8 million. 800,000 and 8 million. Okay. This is going to be ridiculous, I think. Okay, so we have 3 seconds. So at frame 180, we'll see. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, I'm a little upset just because the whole rope stuff being quite well. Let's see. There it is. So it was that. Haha. Yes. Cool. That actually worked pretty well. So let's take a look at that in the scene. Save your scene. Yeah, I do need to do that. So this is what it looks like. 3 seconds, and then... All right. Let's go ahead and close that. Let's save. Okay, so I think we're going to do a couple of things. First off, the explosion is actually going to be limited range. It's going to have a range of, I think, 1 meter. Even that might actually be too much. Yep, that is too much. Let's shrink that down to 0.5. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and move it up a little bit. Really? You're going to be like that, are you? All right, 0.5. 0.6 and 0.4. Nope, 6. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. Which means that you need to be at 6.6 and 31.6. Okay. Next, we will go ahead and duplicate these guys. We're going to name this to cut 1 bottom. Rename you to cut 1 top. So you are going to be... Oh, it created a clone. That's interesting. Ah. Okay. Well, either way, you're actually going to be there. I didn't realize it would do that. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Bottom cut. Right about there. Okay, so I'm going to set these guys to trigger at 1 second in instead of 3. They should happen simultaneously, and well, I guess we'll just see what that looks like. All right, simulate. So we get the initial wait, and then oh no, they held. Oh, that's super weird. Okay, so I do need to restrict them to the ropes because it looks like the planks go a little bit faster, which is not ideal. Okay, yeah, so let's go ahead and stop that. Hit OK. And let's go ahead and save. So we're going to want to, I guess, just do these guys. Not the suspension ropes, actually, just the main ropes. And then the fragments. That's all we care about. Can I remove you? Yes. Okay. That's interesting. How do I add? Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know how to add a affect all back in, so that's not great, but okay. So we can limit it, which is good. So same thing here, I guess. We're going to want to affect only the main ropes and the fragments, but not you guys. Yeah, weird. I would think that there would be like an add all or something, but nope. All right, let's go ahead and close that. Let's see what this looks like. Now let's simulate. Oh, let's say the scene, and then let's simulate. Okay, so we get our initial sag. Ropes are still breaking on the bottom, but that's fine for now. Then... Really? Not enough, huh? Ah, they barely held. All right. Well, we'll increase this to 9 million. And let's see what happens. And well, sorry. Now. The bottom is holding. The bottom is holding very well compared to the top. The top was flimsy. What the frickin'? I want to look. What are you doing? That's really weird. Okay. Huh. I don't know what's going on here. It keeps trying to move me for some reason. So that was kind of weird. Let's take a look at what this was doing. So this is the simulation. So the top one came off like I would expect, but the bottom one held on. Like it did not want to let go. See, the top detached almost instantly, which is kind of what I would expect. Okay. Let's go ahead and stop that. Let's go back to you. Can I set you to 7.5 and get better results? Not bad. Oh, you know what? I wonder, is it because I... No, I don't know. That doesn't... Yeah, the bottom is just not falling apart until it suddenly does, which is kind of odd. It happens like 2 seconds after I would expect it to. Harumph, harumph, harumph. That's not quite what I would hope for. Okay, let's try limiting our speed to 100 instead of 50. Maybe that speed limitation is actually preventing it from separating. Oh well, so you know what? I'm just gonna change these guys to happen like 0.25 in. No sense in waiting a full second. Okay. There's our first separation. I think it worked. But then we have another problem in that the other ropes shouldn't actually break from the weight alone. Ay, that's not good. What are you even doing? Okay, whatever. For some reason, every time I try to like look around in the scene while it's simulating, it just tries to move me into a different position. So this is what it looks like. So you can see the top pop off, like it just, but the bottom one doesn't. That's super weird to me. It just like, but then the right side falls, and that's not ideal. We're so close. Oh man. I am a little worried though that I might need to retreat and ask Karante some stuff. Cause clearly I seriously don't think I'm using explosions and connections properly. Cause I shouldn't have to, get within floating point errors in order to connect my ropes, nor should I have weird explosion delays like that. It does seem to be closer together, though, now than it used to be. It sucks that we didn't get this baked out tonight. I really wanted to do that. But it's already been 2.5 hours, and I'm starting to get a little hungry. And also, my cat apparently really wanted to chase something. So, I mean, we made good progress tonight. We did get basically up to the cutting point. We're up to the point where we can actually do Karante simulations now, but we're not quite. Well, let's not try to phrase it politely. I am not proficient enough with Karante yet to properly simulate the bridge collapsing, apparently. So, kills me to do this. So I think we're gonna call it a night. I'm going to go dig around to see what I can find on setting up rope simulation, so I know exactly what it is that Karante wants. Because I don't know why this fragment isn't simulatable, but this main body rope is. They're basically the same thing, just in a compressed format. So I don't know what's going on there. Please tell me I didn't. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I don't have a deleted face or anything. And secondly, I need to figure out how to get explosions and connections to work a lot better. Because I should not have to have as much strength as I do on the connections to make them work. I really feel like I'm overly. Those numbers are just too big. So I'm sorry that it's not quite to the point where I was hoping we would be by the end of tonight, but we have made progress, and our actual canyon cutscene does have does have the actual animation for the dramatic cut going. So we're at least up to the point where the animation is done. Well, not done, but it's there. So we're up to the point where we can actually do Karante stuff. But I do need to just, I need to get good and figure out how to properly use Karante. So one last look at our scene to make sure that everything came together pretty well. Well, see, the problem is that I don't want to just like make the cut piece just. Yeah, I mean, I could do it that way, but the problem is I feel like that's not dramatic enough. But then again, I could be wrong. I guess. Let me think. Actually, can I tell connections just to like fail at a specific time in Karante? Let's see, creation time. When the specified simulation time is reached, time is measured in seconds. So this is another problem right here, is that the reason I have the explosions, and that was the approach that I was doing, is that I don't know a way to stop these connections from existing outside of them just having their connections break. I don't know how to, so I don't know how to actually just tell them to turn off. I don't think that's actually possible. Which means that I need to instead. Oh, but I guess I could do it that way. That would work. Okay. Yeah. Actually, so there is support for. Let's see. Is it actions? I think substitutor. Pretty sure that's it. Let's go ahead and add a new group for this. Oh, hold on. Okay, so we might not actually need the explosions. You might be onto something there. Instead, we could use substitution. And basically what we would do, instead of having two separate rope pieces right off the bat, we would actually just have one solid rope piece from the old bridge. And we can tell the substitutor to swap bodies out for something else. So we could actually swap a full rope body out for these two half bodies, and then when that happens, we just won't have a connection for them, so they'll just immediately start separating and falling. The downside to that is that we do need to make sure that the fragments are still connected to the posts, so that they don't fall along with the bridge itself. So that is something we can do, but I don't know if that's going to look good enough. I'm really concerned. Make 3 pieces, big copies, connected piece. The piece in play mode will happen. Well, yeah, and that's basically what we would be doing with the substitution stuff. Is we would swap out a full rope for a segmented rope. Then the segmented rope would immediately separate because of weight and physics. And then ideally the top pieces would remain connected to the posts while everything else falls. And yeah, since it's a baked animation, I can't dynamically affect it really. But yeah, with this substitution approach, it might work. It's just going to get all kinds of weird. Because that means that I have to dynamically set up connections between simulated rope bodies that have to be simulated at the same time in the same place so that they look the same when they come in, and then swap them out. Oh boy. Oh, this simulation got all kinds of complicated. But I think you're onto something though, Jacob. Because if we can substitute them, then we don't have to worry about that the initial ropes staying together because they would be one rope, which means that it would stay together. It just means that I'm going to have to figure out how I want to swap these things in. So, okay, I'm a little bit more hopeful then. The only concern that I have about not using explosions is that... Actually, you know what? No, that wouldn't matter because when we do the swapping, we could use explosions since they wouldn't be connected anymore. So whatever explosive force we apply would be instantly noticeable. That fixes all of our problems. Hooray! So, good on you, Jacob. That was actually, yeah, when thinking about that a little bit more, and how Karate works, that helped a lot. So I'm gonna test that off the stream to see if I can get that to work. So hooray! The Karate simulation stuff wasn't a bust for tonight, actually. But I do think it's a good place to stop for the night, just because it's almost been 3 hours. So announcements. I should be streaming on Saturday again, because it's only Christmas Eve's Eve, which is nothing. So we'll be doing kind of a fun stab at interactions in custom games again. And then I don't know what next week's schedule is going to look like, just because, holidays and all that. So I doubt I'll be streaming next Tuesday, but I might stream next Thursday, and I might stream on Saturday, ? Because it's New Year's Eve. But I'll let you guys know. In any case, that is a pretty good place to stop for the night. We got the initial cutting animation for the bridge, and we have a rough idea of how to approach this now. And we'll see what this ends up looking like in the long run. I'm pretty sure we can actually get this to look really cool, and I'm looking forward to the day that we actually finish this cutscene and we get to just move on from it, because it's really cool, but it's taken 2 weeks, and it's just killing me inside. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.